You're listening to the Movement is Medicine show, a podcast hosted by Head to Toe Spine and Sports Therapy, a modern chiropractic and manual therapy practice in Edmonds, Washington. Now, let's get into the show. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the show. Today, we're talking about aging and injury, because unfortunately, it seems like as one of those things goes up, so does the other. So as we age, it seems like injuries become more of a challenge. Got Dr. Tim, Dr. Annie, Dr. Ashley in the house. What's up, everybody?
What's up,
What's
Barry?
So first of all, why do we age?
That's a good
Aging,
question.
ew.
What the hell is
What?
wrong?
What is wrong?
What
Why
is
the
that?
hell do we age? Come on.
I tell you, it's not for the faint-hearted. Aging.
God, it
And
sucks.
it doesn't
No?
seem
I mean,
fair. You know,
It's not
it just
fair.
doesn't seem fair.
Why,
Like, it's
why
just-
haven't we figured out how to stop aging?
The key to life is to never get
people
old.
are trying to figure that out. You got all those biohackers out
What
there and
is the
stuff like
secret?
that.
Just pick up the pace, man. Get the biohacking going.
A little bit more of that, right?
So we age, and injuries seem like they go up. I mean, is that a fair statement?
It's definitive. I mean, there's some obvious reasons why, what's going on with our increased injury load. And then there's maybe some slightly less obvious reasons. But I mean, I think the biggest obvious one is just simple joint wear and tear, right? There's just, we lose some of the fluid in our joints. Our cartilage thins out. We don't divide and increase cells as quickly. We have increased cell death, or what is it? Apoptosis.
Apoptosis.
It's like a dope band name right there. It should be a band name.
Oh, what a bad
Probably
day. And
is.
so, all
It's
that's
bad.
going on. And for, I think for anyone who's like maybe had more substantial injury in their life, like, some serious joint injury, replacements, increased arthritis, all that sort of thing is going on, which is really increases our chance of getting injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think besides that, too, going from maybe like a period of activity to a period of inactivity and then all of a sudden getting back into it again. My parents ran into the same issue over COVID. They decided, hey, we're going to work out because we have time to now, and they're calling me constantly like something's up with my shoulder. What's going on with my shoulder? I've never had this issue before. Why does it hurt? Well, what are you doing? Oh, we're surfing now. My parents live in Hawaii. Plug there. So we're surfing now. We're paddleboarding now, swimming, doing all these like repetitive motions. And I'm like, well, how long has it been since you guys have done that stuff? It's like, I don't know, like a year? And it's like, well, hello? Like, of course it's going to hurt. You're also like, on the verge of 50 plus years old. Things are different. You decide you're not going to move, and then you're going to move now, and then you're more prone, more at risk,
It's
and
tough.
they just don't understand that.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
tough,
a tough
yeah.
one. Yeah, because exactly like Dr. Annie was saying, it's just like there's certain changes that happen, especially within like your muscles, especially the joints, like less fluid in those, just less cushioning in the joints and everything like that. That just makes it tougher as you get older to like do, especially like any like impact type exercises or anything like that. Especially if you're starting it into it like as you're getting older. It's like there has been some research that finds, if you start kind of like earlier on and, like in your 20s and you build good habits there and you're healthy about it, it actually does do a lot of good for your joints as you continue to age. But it's like you get to a certain point though where, needless to say, wear and tear is going to happen. And that's tough. It's tough sometimes with some patients too that come in here where you kind of have to like talk about that, where it's like they're wanting to understand why they're in pain, or at least a component to why they're in pain. And it's like, well, like you just got some wear and tear on your joint.
It's such a tough
and
topic.
it's
Calling
really
me old?
tough.
It's like, no.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but and it's just something that happens. So and that's but that's where our job comes in, right? To teach them how to move properly again, and to teach them how to activate their muscles well, and to use their joints again, right? We have some great exercises that we do here for that, to mobilize those joints again and try to get some of that, whatever fluid is left in there, moving again, right? And get that going. I understand that was a bad way to say that, but anyway, no, but really to get things moving and get things activated again, and being able to even learn that it doesn't matter how old you are, even if you're trying to get into working out later on or whatever it happens to be. It's like learning those things, no matter what age you are, is going to be beneficial for you to help decrease pain. So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, Ashley, which just makes me laugh, because that's we've talked about this before, but people just want to go back to working out like they did when they were 25 or, in college. They're like, we're going to start working out again. I mean, I've done the same thing. I want to start working out again and I'm just going to jump right back in. And so, I've talked about moderation before on, I think on the podcast, but just kind of going in like a little bit easier, but more consistent and trying to keep up with the pattern of it. So you don't just blow yourself up completely because the body has changed, I mean, I'm right in that window. So I get it. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but it does happen. But I think, as Dr. Tim said, there's some really key things for prevention. And besides the famous lacrosse ball, which I think it's famous now because we talk about it so much. But I really like the joint cars, which is a functional patterning motion. And that really captures, I think for someone who's aging and maybe exercising, doing the same kind of thing, maybe they're a walker or, whatever it may be, and they kind of do the same thing all the time, that those joint cars really access all parts of that joint. And help bring some fluid to it, help to prepare the joint for loading. So if you're going to work out and you do some controlled articulations before you exercise, it's going to prep that joint neurologically for load. And that's a great way to prevent getting injured.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Those cars are great exercise. Yeah, and you can do them for almost any joint in the body, right? Which is great. And the other reason that, really love those too is like, it's something that, just rehydrates the joint a little bit, gets it to move a little bit. And with any joint that gets stiff as we age due to wear and tear, we want to get motion into it, right? We want to get some motion into it so we can actually get that joint to like function a little bit better, get healthier, and even prepare for exercise or anything that we want to do going forward from there. So great stuff that we can do there.
Yeah, it's interesting because as we we kind of approach those middle-aged years and beyond, there's like pros and cons, right? So maybe we have some just wear and tear that's added up over time. Maybe we have some misuse or some underuse or whatever, and maybe the body's a little bit less resilient or it's more susceptible. But at the same time, typically we have more resources that we can and more time. A lot of times that we can spend on ourselves, so more intentionality. So I think this is also as we hit these middle-aged years and beyond, and we're thinking I got to be in this the long game. I want to be my best self, and I really do think like the COVID, the 2020, the pandemic, I think has brought this idea of wellness and health and what it means to really feel and be healthy to the forefront of people's minds. Because a lot of people got derailed in 2020. I mean, I know I did, and coming out of that, it was like, holy shit, I value my health even more than I did before. So this kind of leads right into probably what we're always preaching here is a really great self-care routine. It's probably one of the number one things.
For sure.
I mean, I feel like we talk about this on every podcast.
Oh, yeah. Every time.
But it's a great point to talk
It
about
is.
because
Again
it's
and again.
really true.
Yep.
Like, I mean, just having that self-care routine is huge. Like, I mean, I know we always hammer the lacrosse
We
ball.
need to get stickers made or something.
We
It's
really
like a
should.
slogan or
Self-cross.
something.
What's your self-care routine?
Yeah.
Have you self-cared today? I mean, it's
I
just
feel like even, some of my
Essential.
patients just get frustrated at me because I'm just like, so about that lacrosse, like, I swear to God, it's lacrosse ball all the time. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
but I tell people, I'm like, even if you just do one thing, like, and you do your lacrosse ball releases, I guarantee you, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why we preach that stuff so much. But in general, yes, like a self-care routine that we can do is great. And exactly like you were saying too, like this past year, kind of going through COVID and everything like that, the lockdowns and everything like that, we definitely have seen a lot of people like trying to get into like home workouts, right? Or like building a home gym or actually being more active, right? Because you kind of see that where it's like you want to build up your body's like just general health, like immune system, all that kind of stuff, right? And that's huge ways to do that is just starting to become active again and paying attention to, all those, also paying attention to what you put in your body, hydration, everything else like that, right? I mean, that's huge components of it too. And actually huge components about the topic of this podcast as well, talking about like aging and injuries. But yeah, it was kind of cool to see that, people during the lockdown starting to move more, starting to try to work out more, finding ways to do that. It was pretty cool to see that.
Yeah.
You bring up a good point with nutrition and hydration. What are our thoughts on, how you set yourself up there?
Ooh.
Oh, it
Man,
matters.
we could
It
go deep
matters,
into
yeah.
this.
This is like another
It's a big part of
podcast,
it.
I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we're big on hydration, obviously
Yeah.
here. And,
Yeah.
and we're big on nutrition too. We love nutrition. It's a huge
Yeah.
part of inflammation and everything.
I mean, it's just so key. I mean, yesterday I was really, really busy in clinic. Like I was probably a little overbooked and I was running hard and I was like flagging. And Dr. Lee made me a hydration special, which is just kind of the nicest thing ever. Like, with some lemon and he muddled up some cucumber, big old glass of water. Man, my energy, I drank that, was like, I was just back, So
Better
it's
than
just
coffee.
amazing how powerful it is.
Yeah, that's really true. And I mean, for people that have listened to this before, people listening now, it's like we use a lot of stuff from the Quench book, like Quench Protocol and everything like that. So adding stuff to your water, and it doesn't have to be hard, right? Even just adding stuff to your water, like citrus, like lemon or something like that. Tasteless pinch of salt to that as well is just going to add to that hydration. Ground chia seeds, another thing you can add to your water. Smoothies as well, you can add to that as well. There's other smoothie options with that too. Different fruits and vegetables like green leafy greens, cucumber, celery, different things that you can just eat and add to your water to enhance your water to make your hydration just that much better. I also typically recommend people take something in throughout their day that has electrolytes in it. And I'm not talking about like a Gatorade or something like that. That's just a bunch of sugar. But one of the things that I like the most, Seattle-based company Noon, N-U-U-N, there's a great company. Just drop that into your water. Pretty much no sugar in that. Just packed full of electrolytes. That's great. Some people like the liquid IV things from Costco. That's a fine option as well.
I just checked those out.
Yeah.
I got some of this.
Yeah.
So I mean, anything
Good.
like that is going to be great.
What about Zip Fizz?
Do
they have electrolytes?
I don't
I
know.
don't think
if
I've
they
ever
do.
really had.
Zip Fizz is more
Zip
like
Fizz.
energy, right?
Is it
It's
Yeah.
like bees.
Vitamins?
I think
I
it's
think
a
there's
bunch
like
of
a
bee complex.
caffeine thing.
I
Yeah.
don't think it has caffeine.
It doesn't.
I think it's just like
I don't know.
crap ton of B12.
It's a bunch of
or
B
something.
vitamins and
Yeah.
B12 and stuff like that.
Maybe they sneak
I've
some
never drank
caffeine.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
But anyway, something with electrolytes in during your day, typically always recommend that to people, especially if you're an active person and you work out a lot. You're going to want to have something like that in your day as well. But yeah, so hydration is key. So
What would we also say about sleep and about like restorative type of non-activities too in terms of aging? I mean, is it more important as like to get that restoration and some downtime, or does it not matter?
We're getting some deep topics here.
Yeah, I mean, sleep is just
We can talk
paramount.
about sleep all day.
yeah, sleep is very important. I
Very
think
important.
I think it's important for everybody, but I think especially as you get older, it becomes probably even just a little bit more important, especially if you're an active person. Again, I know I keep like harping on that, but it's just like depends on your activity level. But for anybody,
thereof.
getting an adequate amount of sleep is going to be great, right? And there's some people struggle with sleep, and that's tough, and I totally understand that, especially in the last year with a lot more stress and anxiety for some people. Like that's
And reaching
That's
for
a tough
sometimes
one.
a digital distraction.
Yep.
It's
Yep.
like I can't sleep. I grab my phone. I scroll through my news feed, or I watch 10,000 TikTok videos at 3 a.m.
that's going to make it worse.
Yeah,
Then I send all the
Maybe worse.
TikTok videos I like to my friend
Yeah.
in hopes that she's still awake.
exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody please,
But I think that also leads into kind of like one of the other big ones with increased injury as we age is the cortisol, the stress cortisol relationship, because especially with this COVID year, I mean, stress has gone through the roof for a lot of people. And as we age, we sort of are a little more maladaptive to stress. And we've got more of it, right? We've got childcare, we've got parent care, we've got COVID, running businesses, working too much, whatever it may be. Like that midlife time is really busy. Really, really busy. And we, some people may have heard the term adrenal fatigue, which is really a true thing where our adrenal glands that produce cortisol really kind of flag out. Because they've been working so hard. They've just been overworked for so long trying to help us maintain. And so that kind of ties into an exercise piece where sometimes, I mean, I've really noticed it in myself, but the really high intensity exercise, the research has indicated over and over again, it increases stress for us as we age. So sort of more moderate exercise, it doesn't boost our cortisol levels up as much. And the thing that I think to keep in mind about cortisol is that when it's too high, it becomes catabolic, which means it's going to eat up and destroy our tissues. And then we're going to be way more subject to injury.
Yeah.
So it's another kind of thing to keep in track with all of these other factors, the self-care, relaxation, water, sleep, good nutrition, that all helps us to maintain our stress level too.
Yeah, and cortisol is tied into sleep as well. That can be a big, major disruptor of sleep if your cortisol is spiking at the wrong times of the day. Like a lot of times, people with sleep issues have a cortisol issue as well. So it's a great point that you bring up.
Yeah, almost always. And the cortisol master locally here is definitely Dr. Rebecca Hoppins over at Seattle Naturopathic, and I still remember when she first tested mine because it was really quite interesting. So I had none in the morning, so I was like, oh, so tired, and then it spiked through the roof for like 3, and then by the time I was supposed to go to sleep, it was still pretty high, so it was way off. But the neat thing about it is that with herbs and supplements and some sort of mindfulness work, you can change that back to a better rhythm, but you can't sleep when it's like that.
No,
At
no,
all.
You can't. No. Yeah, definitely with all the increased stress. I mean, obviously we talk about what cortisol does as you age, but also when you get stressed too, because that cortisol, your adrenals get fatigued, just way too much cortisol in your body. It affects the way your body functions, affects the muscles and everything like that. So, I mean, that kind of ties back into, the sleep and everything we were just talking about. But then also finding ways, like Dr. Annie just kind of touched on there, is like finding ways to practice like mindfulness or finding ways to decrease stress in our lives where we can. Like that's going to be a huge factor for that as well, especially as we age, is finding ways that we can decrease that stress. And there's multiple different ways that you can do that. I mean, no matter it just depends on like kind of what your preference is there. So I mean, different herbal supplements can help with that, but then also just meditation, journaling,
Nature bathing.
Yeah, going outside.
Yeah. There you go.
Getting outside,
Yep.
huge.
Yeah, just with a loincloth. That's how I like to nature
Please
bathe.
spare me.
Just through my local woods.
Okay, everybody. We'll give you Barry's address at the end of the
Put some
podcast.
green
I
leaves.
think
in
you
my-
just gave me an
Wildlife
idea, Barry.
viewing.
That sounds pretty That just sounds like
Sounds great.
pretty relaxing.
Sounds
I don't know.
relaxing.
I was going to say hiking, but nature bathing works. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I do think it. We talked a lot about this kind of holistic approach. Really, what we're talking about as we age. We just need to be more mindful, more aware of all these different areas of our life. They're all interwoven, and sometimes we need help, and we need a guide, and we need a kind of a team of specialists to help us unpack and unravel our own situation to get us to a spot where we can be really, really great and feel really great and function at a really high level and be injury free. It's totally possible, but oftentimes what we need to do is just get the right team involved.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's just amazing in this area. We have healthcare partners, Sage Integrative, Seattle Naturopathic, gyms and fitness partners that are just so good at their work. And I just feel like, we can really care for people with a few different providers in the play.
Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, whether you come here first and then we do some of our work and then we can help direct you to that next stage. Because, when we look at Sage or we look at Dr. Rebecca, and Dr. Angela and team over at Sage, there's a lot of stuff they can do. I mean, Prolozone, PRP, oxygen, there's like all kinds of cool treatment options that they have that can work really well with what we can do here to create pretty phenomenal results for people over time. And they just go hand in hand.
They do. I mean, I love that Sage is so moving forward with their sort of regenerative medicine program, because that's really the way of the future, I think, because insurance, unfortunately, doesn't seem to think it's the way of the future. They just want to give you a cortisone injection. But yeah, some of the stuff they're doing is really, really cool.
I'll report back on that. I'm going to get the Prolozone, I think. And I want to get some PRP done too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my
Nice.
piggy bank is definitely accumulating money towards my PRP, which
Yeah.
I'm going to get, I think, pretty soon.
What are you going to do?
I'm not sure yet.
You're just going to get something done with it.
Well,
We're going to do something
know
with
what
the
I was gonna
PRP.
I'm
do
probably
it.
going to get a shoulder.
something.
I'm going to get shoulder and knees.
Yeah, shoulder and knees.
Because those are where if I'm creaky anywhere, I admit it. That's usually where they show up. So, get that fixed up.
So I just think don't settle for less than the best in your life. I mean, don't settle for being limited. Don't settle for being in a state of constant pain. Don't settle for just thinking like, oh, I guess I'm just hurt now, or I guess I can't do the things I love anymore because I'm getting old now. Blah blah blah.
That's definitely a mentality. Yeah, it's a great thing you brought that up because I have a lot of patients, and a lot of these patients end up being like maybe like in like their like 40s, 50s, 60s, something like that. And you kind of hear that comment of like, well, this has been around forever, and I know I'm just going to be in pain for the rest of my life. And it's just like that right there, and I'm just like, you don't have to think that way. Like it doesn't have to be this way. Like, and that's why it's like, we can help get you out of pain. We can help direct you to other people that are great providers around us that can help with other aspects of your healing process. But that's just what I want people to understand is like, I know sometimes it might think that, you've been in pain for like 15, 20 years, whatever it might be. And that sucks. And that's really hard, but you can get out of it. Like we can help you do that. So,
And if we can't, somebody else can.
Yeah.
And we'll point you in that direction.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's key. Yeah, I so agree with you.
Yeah.
I have, patients who are, younger than me say, well, I'm just old now, so I'm going to I guess I'm in pain forever. And I'm older than you are. No, don't accept it.
Yeah. Don't
Use
accept
it as an
accept it.
excuse. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
accept it.
It's just, I mean, life is long. Mm-hmm. Stay healthy.
That's right.
Yeah. Take care of yourself.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself.
Life is long. Stay healthy.
Yes.
Don't
That's
get
another
old.
good sticker. That's another good T-shirt. We're going to come out with a clothing line or a sticker line. I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. So if you're hearing this and you're hurt and you're feeling like, oh man, maybe it's just going to be this way. It's not. No, you can do something about it.
No.
Just jump online, book an appointment. Let's get it started. And oftentimes, I think we just need to we need to think of it as like, I'm going to find the right team of people who can help me figure myself out. Mm-hmm. And because that's oftentimes how we look at it here is we look at the holistic approach. Like, how can we get this person to a spot where they're really going to be functional, they're going to be pain-free, and they're going to be equipped to have a great life.
Love it.
Yep.
All right.
Absolutely.
Well, we're here for you. Don't accept it. You deserve more. And we believe in you. That's our message of hope and healing today.
Love it.
Yeah,
Love that.
awesome. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next show. Thanks, and until next time, take care of yourself, and we'll see you in the clinic.
Sounds good.
Bye, everybody.
Bear.
Thanks, Bear.